Hi, welcome to Fiber Focus, the podcast where we talk about the world of fiber optics and all things connectivity. Today, I'm joined by Yuko Agano, our product manager for FutureFLEX Air-Blown Fiber Solutions. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
What are we going to be talking about?
So today, I want to talk about the difference between FutureFLEX, the air-blown fiber. So the FutureFLEX, it is the Sumitomo Electric's air-blown fiber product. We named the FutureFLEX, and now it is getting a new item. It is coming out and it becoming very common, which is a microduct cable. So there are the difference, and then people does not fully aware of the difference. So today I want to cover it and talk about what's the difference so that you can pick the right product and then, make the right decision that's suited for your project.
Perfect. All right. Well, before we get into that, I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about what is going on in the market growth-wise when it comes to like fiber optics worldwide.
So because our everyday life, AI and quantum computing, those are getting very common. The growth is very significant. Right now is in 2024, it is about $8 billion. It is optical fiber market. And then now by 2032, it is going to be double in the world. And then this is not just, the world, and then the United States is the same way. It is going to be a little faster pace. By 2030, market is going to be double in the United States. So it's, it is very fast growing market.
Sure. Fast growing market, lots of changes to infrastructure that are going on now and will continue to be the case. Can you talk a little bit about what those infrastructure changes look like?
Yeah. So the biggest thing is now we need more fiber counts. It's not just a smaller fiber count anymore. We need more to support data centers and for the infrastructure that can support the high fiber. But at the same time, there are dilemma for especially like a designer for designing all the fiber infrastructures. It is a limited conduit space, but you need to somehow come up with the idea to maximize the installation fiber count utilizing this limited conduit space.
So what are some of the options when it comes to deploying these fibers?
Yeah, so right now there are two options. One is the conventional fiber, which is a traditional pole, and another one is air-blown methods. So there are actually two different types of air-blown method, which I mentioned at the beginning. Air-blown fiber. That it has been in the market in North America for about 30 years, and we're actually the leading the company. And the newer one, it's actually been in the Europe, was a major product for a while, the Microduct cable, which recently becoming popular in the United States.
Can you kind of talk about the difference between air-blown fiber and microduct cable?
Yes. So there are three differences, the main differences. One is the pathway. The pathway, it is like the duct that the fiber goes inside. And so that is a difference, number one. And the second one is the cable by itself. There are difference with the air-blown fiber and the microduct cable. Another one is installation equipment with air-blown fiber, FutureFLEX air-blown fiber, and the microduct cable. There are two different machines that needs to be used in order to install the optical cable.
What sorts of machines?
So the machines are for the air-blown fiber. We use a nitrogen-driven the machines. So technically, you do not have to look for the power source, or the dry air is going to come out and the nitrogen pressure will install the fiber. On the other hand, with the microduct, it is going to be either power or the gasoline, because you're going to need a air compressor, and then also the dry air to install. So those are the two differences on the machine.
So the FutureFLEX air-blown fiber installation and the microduct installation, how do those two differ from the traditional method of pulling?
Yeah, so the traditional pull, is you actually pull the fiber. However, the air balloon is using the air pressure, so it is not pulling. It's more like pushing to the duct. The benefit, it is going to be the speed of the installation, because you're not actually pulling, and it's going to take hours and then a lot of people. However, for the air balloon, just going to jet, into the duct. So, for example, of the FutureFLEX air balloon, about the 3,000 feet of the installation that I actually attended, it completed with 30 minutes. So that's how fast, the installation is. So it's going to be a quick fiber deployment, and then also you save a lot of money for the installation cost, because it's the labor and then also the time of the installation is significantly less.
Right. And it sounds like also, are there fewer installers required
It is.
for?
So for the air balloon fiber, you're going to need somebody from the beginning of the blowing and at the end. If you are planning to do not just a single blow, you have a very extensive length of the installation distance, there is a method called tandem. You will need a few more people, but it's technically for the simple, just from here, point 1 to point B, that is going to be just a 2-person. It is required. For the microduct, it may be a little more because the size of the cable is larger, and then the blowing machine, it is a little bigger than the FutureFLEX, but just comparing with the traditional conventional cable, it's going to be less people.
Are there certain deployment scenarios or environments that are better for the different installation methods?
Yes. So this is going to be fiber count. It is very difference between the FutureFLEX air balloon fiber and the microduct. So the FutureFLEX is somewhere between 6 fiber to 72 fibers. On the other hand, with the microduct is the 96 fiber to 864. So the scale of it is going to be different. So the FutureFLEX, it is better for like a campus environment, like an airport. There are building, it is a part that does not require the high fiber count. So that is FutureFLEX. It is going to be great. For the microduct cable, because it is more high fiber count, I would say like a data center, to connect it between the data center, it is be more suited.
And going back to what you were saying about how installers are just needed at the two ends, that sounds like could be optimal for situations where operations are critical, and it's important to not have a lot of people moving through secure spaces. Are you receiving feedback from customers?
Yes, it's significantly fast fiber deployment. Another, probably the most common feedback we get why people love about the air balloon fiber is there's no downtime. So when you have to, install the conventional fiber, you kind of have to stop that area. You may have to close the operations or business. However, once the pathway has been created, you do not disturb the business for the air balloon product. So that is a great benefit especially for the FutureFLEX example, airport or the mass transit. You don't have to stop the operation or the service.
So that's it sounds like it's a benefit not just in the initial installation, but with the moves, adds, and changes as well. Yes. And that makes me think about the name FutureFLEX.
Yes, because it is, it's a flexibility and the future ready. So that's the name come from.
That is perfect. Oh, well done. Thank you for all of the work that you're doing for the industry and for Sumitomo Electric Lightwave. It's been a pleasure chatting with you today.
Thank you.
Thank you all for joining us on Fiber Focus, and we hope that you will subscribe, share this episode, join us again, and follow us on social media. You can find us on X and on LinkedIn. Thanks again.